Alright everybody, I've been wanting to do a video on this firearm for some time. There's a lot of videos out there. No, there's a handful of videos out there. But I don't really think they capture a very good picture of this firearm itself. Today we're going to be talking about the Bersa Thunder 22. This is its exact models, the Thunder 22 Mate, 22 long rifle. Its magazine capacity is 10+1, and it is a double action firearm. There is two types of models of this. You can get this model in 3 different colors, or you can get the concealable carry model, which does have lower profile sights and a lower profile hammer for that. But this is just your regular model. It is a replica of the PPK in many regards. So, and it's an interesting firearm, and we'll talk about some of its pros and cons in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. These will be somewhat of our key talking points today. Is reliability, simplicity, ergonomics, accuracy, availability, and affordability. Like I stated earlier, today's date is 4/2/13, April 2nd. The reason why that's important is because, as of course you all know, there's a huge gun buying and selling going on right now. And availability might not be as easy as it was, 4 months ago. So let's start talking about this firearm. Of course, my firearm is not loaded. It was checked as soon as I picked it up. But just for simplicity. Okay. And we're just going to start talking about the pros and the cons of this firearm. And sorry for how close this video actually is, but maybe that'll give you a good look at it. Pros to this gun. It's cheap. Yeah, out the door price I paid about $3.30, so that was after taxes and all that jazz. Walking out the door. It does shoot 22 long rifles, which of course are very affordable. It is a heftier kind of gun. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's cheap or light, but I do have kind of a great deal of problems with this firearm, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. As far as reliability goes, not a very reliable firearm. I kind of am reluctant that I bought it in the first place. I kind of wish I had saved my money. If I had, saved $60 extra, I could have walked out with an M&P 1522 or M&P 22 pistol, which would have probably been more preferable. This firearm, when used with good ammunition such as CCIs, does work pretty well. I have been having some hiccups with this firearm. Sometimes if it's not properly lubricated, the slide will stick, which is becoming a little irritating. I switched over to this gun gel or grease, which I think works much better than a regular oil as of right now. It definitely has a little bit of a smoother action to it. But it does kind of have a stick to it as far as its slide goes, that I notice it's not as smooth as it should be. But if you try to use regular lead ammo, some lead ammo will work, some won't. So this gun is very finicky as far as the ammunition that it uses. So that is definitely a drawback for this firearm. Also, the major hiccup I've had besides ammunition failures is magazine failures. This magazine isn't as designed as well as it should be, in my opinion. Its major design flaw is that it has one spring that goes all the way up into this shaft, but it doesn't cover the whole magazine like it should, or at least that's what I feel that it should. And what happens is it's been creating an uneven pressure at the tip here. So because it's only pushing up from one side, it's kind of taking the magazine as it should be and cocking it like this, or the magazine guide, the ammunition guide. So on the last round, it has not been feeding properly into the firearm. So that is kind of become a little irritating, and I'm trying to think of how I could potentially fix that. But again, if Bersa wanted to make a better firearm, make a spring that fills up the entire magazine and rides that whole channel all the way up. I think that would be a much better design. So I would definitely think that that's a point against Bersa as far as this firearm goes. But as far as simplicity goes, this firearm is incredibly simplistic to take apart, which is kind of a nice advantage for it, and I'll go ahead and take down the firearm now. You simply push down this, hold it down, push up, and release. So, very easy to take apart. You know, the barrel does not come off unless you punch it out. Spring comes right off. You know, right there, your firearm is disassembled. So it's a pretty easy firearm to take apart. The magazine's easy to take apart as well. So let's just give kind of a look inside. As you can see, I try to keep it as well greased as I can, well lubricated as I can. So it is a simplistic firearm to take apart. So that is one point in its favor as far as what it does have that's good about it. It's pretty easy to reassemble. You just hold down that lever again, pull it back, function test, put the magazine in. The firearm will not fire without the magazine in. The safety does act as a decocker. I wouldn't really trust it though, if I had a round in the chamber. But so it is a simplistic firearm, so it does have that going for itself. Ergonomics, I don't have huge hands, really. I mean, my hands aren't anything big. So, I mean, ergonomics for me, any gun really feels somewhat okay in my hands, just because they're not that large. So this firearm feels very comfortable. The one thing that I would almost have them get rid of is just this ridge that's right here. I kind of want to flush that down because it does feel uncomfortable for my hand grip a little bit. But for the most part, it's a very ergonomic firearm to shoot. Accuracy. It does have adjustable rear sights. So, you know, you can elevate that for elevation. And they're decent sights. They're nothing great. It is a 3-dot sight, as you can see. So it's, I don't know, they're average. They're nothing great. It's a decently accurate firearm. It's nothing to brag about though. Really, the purpose of this firearm was really, I wasn't really thinking, I guess you could say. I should have saved my money and bought a better firearm. So really, when you come down to it, is this a budget gun? Yes and no. It's more fun than it is anything else. You know, it's fun to kind of take out. It looks cool. It sounds cool. It's a cool gun to shoot. But as far as practicality, it's not very practical. If you were running good ammunition through it, it does function fine, except, of course, my model has been having a hard time with the last round. But again, you know, if Bersa fixed that magazine, I think that would correct that problem instantly. It does have a key safety for it, so you can always put it on fire or safety with its little push key for it. So, and let's talk about availability and affordability. This is a very affordable firearm. Like I said, I think I paid $330 walking out the door. You know, it just shoots 22 long rifles, so it is affordable to shoot. But really, for the amount of stress that this firearm's been causing me, I would almost say it's not worth owning. You know, there are a lot of videos out there, and I don't think people have been giving such a harsh review as I am, probably. But I think that this firearm does deserve it, because, of course, if you can't have a reliable firearm, what's the point in owning one? You know, so that is definitely its biggest disadvantage for this gun, is that it does have hiccups from now and again. But honestly, if you keep it well lubricated and you know that it's going to fail in that last round, it works. So, hopefully that gives you a pretty simple review of the firearm. I didn't want to keep it too long. You can get accessories for this gun. You can get, of course, you know, inside carry and outside carry holsters for it. You can purchase laser grip sights for it, which honestly I wouldn't waste the money. You know, why would you spend $200 for, you know, a laser dot sight grip for a firearm that's worth $330? It's not worth the money, in my opinion. And honestly, the firearm's not worth accessorizing. It's more fun just to have, and if you own one, then you should enjoy it. But honestly, I wouldn't buy it again. But I'm being kind of harsh on it, but it is a decent firearm in some respects. So it just could have had things done to it that were a little better. So hopefully that gives you a pretty quick review of the firearm. I'll hopefully keep all my firearm reviews like this, just nice and simple and quick. Hopefully to give you a nice function test of the firearm and to give you some pros and cons, and also to talk about disassembly and reassembly. So, alright, thank you.